Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are back for the World Rugby Under-20 Championship. This matchup, a rematch of a game of the Rugby Championship a bit earlier on this year. South Africa taking on the Australians. Now, the last time these two sides met, it was pretty close. And I have a feeling that this game taking place in Italy, the opening contest for the two sides, could be very similar. But in such a stacked group, it is absolutely must-win for these two great sides. Looking through at the starting lineup, first of all, for the Australians, they have got Sid Harvey as the number 15. He had a very short amount of experience on the 7 circuit, but he's got pure pace. Did pretty decently in the Under-20 Rugby Championship as well, so I'm looking forward to seeing how this backline does work out. Wilcox out on one wing, Waters out on the other, then Rubens and also Whakafunua, I should say, in the middle of the park with Fowler and Sharples as the 9 and 10 combination. Some big men up front, Finn Baxter in that number 1 jersey, Trevor King on the other side. Overall, a very strong looking lineup for this Under-20 Aussie side, and like I said, a must-win game here up against South Africa, who have stacked their side themselves, as you can see here, once again similar to what they had in the Rugby Championship. In terms of that locking duo, Norton as well as Theron, there are a lot of great young locks coming out of South Africa at the moment. Halakane in that number 7 jersey, Malaba at 8, and then Pete alongside Moyo as that 9-10 combination. Juste out on one wing, Lozi out on the other, and then Minto at 15. This is a very strong team. Bester and Erasmus in the middle. I am thoroughly excited for this matchup. Of course, we did get to see the Springboks in action, and a few of these young guys perhaps could make their way into that side one day. And the future we have got there, have there been any other results? None at all. This is the very first match that has taken place alongside England versus Scotland, which is the other game taking place in this exact same group. They are the other two sides, which is pretty brutal, to be honest. I mentioned about it just before, but when you've got these 4 teams all in one group, 2 are going to be very unlucky to miss out. But overall, there's some good sides in this Under-20 Championship. Just the 12 teams in total, I should also clarify. So I believe the best 2 third-place teams do go through to the quarters, if that is the way it works. Or maybe it's just a straight semi. I haven't actually worked out exactly what the table and format is. But Scotland, South Africa, Australia, and England, like I said, big win here. Puts you in a perfect box seat to be able to go on to make it through to the next stage of the comp. If you lose here, you're forever playing catch-up, which in a short competition is the last thing that you want. Is 13 related to Rassie? I don't believe so. Erasmus, a pretty common name in South Africa. But yeah, certainly a talented man, Dimitri Erasmus at 13. And it's almost midnight. Are you still up? Do you have works in a few hours, says Katzenel? Probably not today. I don't think I'll be working. I think I'm getting sick, unfortunately. And also the weather's not supposed to be that flash today anyway, so the chance of work is very minimum, which means we can cover this game. I was also going to do New Zealand versus Italy, but that starts at 6:30 a.m, and I think by then I would like to get some form of sleep. We have got, there should be a good thumping game, says Ruth. And like I said, the last 2 times that these sides played each other, the last time in fact, was for the Rugby Championship. As you can see there, 29 points to 24 in favour of the Australians. They had a couple close games, including a draw with New Zealand, a win over the South Africans, and then a close win over the Argentines too. They are just showing the temperature, 33 degrees Celsius for this match. The South Africans are wearing the white top, and the Australians in that classic yellow and green. I think they like to call it gold, actually, green and gold, although green and gold can also be said about this other side. But 2 fired up young teams ready to make their mark in the opening contest of this comp. But like I said, there is also England versus Scotland happening at this exact same time. And these are the future games for these 2 sides while we are at it. Australia playing Scotland on Saturday morning New Zealand time. That will be Friday afternoon for you guys in South Africa. And for South Africa, a big match up against the English. It's going to be a good one. And depending on whether or not they have a win or a loss from this game, that one will be do or die for this young Bok team. We have got there in the chat, is it on Sky Sport? It is on Sky Sport here in New Zealand, Sky Sport 2 for this contest. Where is it being played? It is in Italy, so 33 degrees Celsius at the moment. I did have a background of the Italian stadium, but for some reason I was half by disappearing with all the blue. which meant I just went back to Cape Town, seeing as we had it for yesterday. I have some good lemon tea, says Robert there. And also, hello, Hamish. You have just saved me from a very hot non-sports Sunday afternoon, says Fleshin. And yeah, by the sounds of it, it's a bit of a heat wave up north at the moment, so be sure to stay refreshed and hydrated. But yeah, massive day of under-20s. I do think that this competition has kind of snuck up out of nowhere. Not many people actually knew it was on for today, but we've been keeping an eye on it for a while. And yeah, an opening contest that is definitely going to live up to expectations. South Africa better not disappoint, says Drin. And Hamish, I can't stay long. I'm going to get this tattoo removed, says Cool Story. And good afternoon from a cold Cape Town, says Jeremy. Well, I'm sure that a few of the players out there in that 33 degrees Celsius wouldn't mind a few temperature degrees is down, although I think that in Cape Town at the moment, you probably only sit in maybe 12 or so degrees, maybe a bit higher than that, but yeah, it's supposed to be pretty chilly in the next little while. The Australians singing the national anthem, that singing is awful. Let's hope the rugby is better, says Jasmine. I always think they set them up though. Like, the players don't realise that they're going to be heard singing it, so they just, you belt it out whether you're in tune or not. And then it's even worse sometimes in the sevens because they turn the music right down and then they go right into the microphone of the guy singing. Kieran Reid was always a great one to listen to for the All Blacks because, he couldn't hit any notes, but he always sung his heart out. And you got to give him credit for that. 33 here in Oxford, that's a scorcher for us. That's a scorcher for most places, I would say. I think we're currently sitting about 7 degrees Celsius. I wouldn't mind a few extra for us here in New Zealand. It's now going to be the South African national anthem. Doesn't look like a huge crowd in Italy for this one. Last competition, I think, was in South Africa. And the weather wasn't great for it, unless that was the last under-20 Rugby Championship, which I think also took place in South Africa. It's 9:30 in the morning. Says Robert there, and that's sizzling, says Ruth. And also, you're looking smooth today. And Fab, says Ruth. It's live on DSTV channel 211, says Albert in there as well. Yeah, sadly, I don't think there's too many free-to-air options for this under-20 championship, but we will be doing, hopefully, quite a few games throughout the competition. A bloke for South Africa looks like he's about 34. He might have got a dispensation to play in this one. We just got over the heat wave, says Robert. Wait, so you just got, was it hot overnight, Robert, but then now that it's daytime, it's going to be maybe cooler? The South African national anthem being sung with pride, just like it was yesterday, a big win for South Africa over the Barbarians. We also saw the exact same scoreline between the British and Irish Lions and the Western Force. It was a common one for today, but I don't think we're going to see that type of scoreline here. These two sides normally go back and forth. Sat in my leopard skin thong with a fan blowing, sipping vodka lemon. Tell you what, it sounds like you're living your best life, Fleshin, by the sounds of it, other than, of course, the fact that it is extremely warm. But if it was cold, you probably couldn't get away with that look. You kind of get let away with it when it is the temperature that it is. And someone thought I looked 25, someone else thought I looked 60. It's a little bit the same with myself, not quite to this point of 60, but some people think that I'm still just out of high school. And then I learned that they also don't have the best vision, because some people say I'm about 35. I think I float depending on how much facial hair I have. And no, this week it's been over 106 for 4 days. The heat wave broke Friday, 106 Fahrenheit. That's 40-something degrees Celsius, isn't it? The two national anthems have been sung, which does mean we're just about underway. This first match of the Under-20 Rugby Championship competition. Now, my question for everyone here, of course, some of you will be watching England versus Scotland. You also possibly want to watch that game afterwards. So let me know, would you like updates about that other matchup that's taken place simultaneously? Or would you prefer if I keep it completely silent so that you guys can wear it a little bit later on? We have got there, when I shave, I get disrespected, says Katsanel. Can you shave? So like your face or somewhere else who says I can get away with it, says Fleshin. So bad that I was after work, my shorts were stuck to me, says Robert. And if you can tell us the green wins, you can be 17 no problem, says ARC. Our referee from Japan in charge of this one. The Australians will be kicking off from left to right, and we are underway for this Under-20 Rugby World Cup of such. Although they don't like to call it that. They like to call it the World Rugby Under-20 Rugby Championship for 2025 and the big run forward from Halakane to start this match off. Inside of their 22. Looks like an absolutely peach of a day in Italy for this contest. People still rolling into the stands where, of course, there is a nice bit of shade, but not much shade out there on the field. Sid Harvey at the back. Now kicks it forward. Chase in after it. Beautifully taken for, it was, I believe, Moyo in their number 10 jersey for South Africa. We've got a few of these names that will come back to us as we go. Now Pete goes back across to the left-hand side. Big bump off from Bester up to the halfway line, but he has knocked it on in Australia now. For a second-half position, it has rolled back, and they have kicked downfield. Moyo lines it up under the high ball. Gives it a good old boot downfield. A little bit too much of a kick on it, though, and it rolls way dead. It was a huge kick. And it means that Australia will have themselves a scrum feed probably about 25 metres out from the South African line. I look very young when I'm shaved. Says Katzenell. And silent, says Greta Hart. As in, like, I be silent or the crowd be silent. Did you see that? I just accidentally slapped myself in the face with one of my hoodie strings. I didn't mean to do that. And Come on the Green says ARC. And also, I drink a lot of pot coffee, or about a pot of coffee a day. Hi from GQ, says Sean. Welcome in. Yeah, I hope you're excited for this matchup. The Junior Boks have a little bit of a redemption arc that could happen here after a Rugby Championship where they did finish third, which honestly, they played a lot better than a third-place side throughout that competition. In fact, I think most of the sides in that comp did. And one of the more competitive Under-20 Rugby Championships we've had in a while. But Australia winning themselves that scrum, going off to the left-hand side. Shut down in the middle of the field was Fowler. Looking both ways here. Looks like Sharples will go to the left-hand side. A lot of physicality will be at the forefront of this matchup. Sharples trying to milk the penalty advantage. Referee says, nah, we're not doing that today. I feel like straight away that has set the tone. You're not going to milk anything with this referee, which is the way it should be. I mean, it's under-20s at the end of the day. You're not playing in a proper test match. They're only sitting 40 metres out from the line for the Australians. Little kick in behind attempted by Joey Fowler. Curving nicely and bounces into touch. And perhaps even a hand on it from the South African winger Nlozi. Looks like it is going to be South Africa's line-out throw, though. Welsh, we can't spell Big Cat's names on a Sunday afternoon. Says Gleason. As GQ magazine, all place in the world. So GQ is Gqoboka, which I think I've mispronounced again. I'm slowly maybe getting there. But yeah, location in South Africa, where Shan is from. Now, nicely won by South Africa. Only a couple metres out from their own try line. Under a bit of pressure here will be Pete. Puts it back into the pocket. And Moyo, again with that long boot, does get it into touch. A slow start to this one in regards of, for the South African side, we haven't seen a huge amount of their attack as of yet. We saw that one run from Bester. The exception of that, it has been all Australia trying to win that territory game. Line out throw here for Atta. Did you think South Africa sent a message yesterday? Or should we be more realistic? We haven't been in the Barbarians since 2000, though. I think that it was a fantastic win for South Africa. But I do also think that the Barbarians, like, because that's their first game, normally, you know, it had a lot more of a test match feel to it. And I think that that was the perfect game for South Africa to be able to warm up in. But as soon as it had that test match feel, that was a game the Barbarians were never going to win. Like, the way that Barbars normally win is when the opposition get drawn into playing the way that the Barbarians would. We see it when the likes of Fiji played them, when Samoa go head-to-head, even a couple of those teams like the Bristol Bears and Munster. But yeah, I think that South Africa, you know, they did not want any chance of losing that game on home soil. Like you said, first time that they've been able to beat them since 2000. So the record books state it is a big win for South Africa. But I do think that Rassie's still going to be experimenting throughout the Italy and Georgia games too, as the big goal is the Rugby Championship. And also just going undefeated throughout the year. We are going to get another scrum here. And try, says Roof. And Aussie Kangaroo to score now. Says Ruth in there, and Barbar's bad game, no excuses, awful. Didn't string 4 passes together. Says Ruth. And yeah, it was one of those games that the Barbarians looked like a team that had just been thrown together because they had. You know, like sometimes the Barbarians, when they have a couple matches back to back, they play a bit rough in the first. They play better in the second, the third, like we saw as they developed in that series for 2023. I think it was in September and October, wasn't it? Where they were playing up against, oh, that's a loose ball from South Africa. Ball sits up, but well taken there. And it is probably a try-saving grab from Josta, where a couple slightly rough passes thrown from South Africa inside of their 22, and it almost led to a try. But now chance here out wide for the Junior Boks. Offload there, breaking down the wing. This is a massive chance. 2-on-1, draw and pass, and South Africa score the first try of this contest. It is Hashem Peed, and after 5.5 minutes of all-out Aussie attack, South Africa are the first team on the board. It's all Aussie at pace. They'll be out of gas by halftime, says Albert, although both of these sides in the Rugby Championship did also show signs of fatigue, but that will be a frustrating one for the Australians to go for so long and all but score down one end just to have the breakaway from the Junior Boks team. They've just put up the Australian scrum half on the screen, but of course he did not score. It was Hassan Peed who did get it, and now Moyo with the chance to add the extra 2. We have got there. No, you suck. So the pronunciation was awful, I assume, as a click sounds so difficult to pronounce for people. And also not even one try for me was absolute defeat, says Katzenel. Wait, not even one try for me was absolute defeat. Which game we talking? Barbars did score, so did the Force. Was it this game? Because we have, of course, got that one try coming now for South Africa. That was a great run down the wing from, I believe it was Nebelele, who did have that run. And also we have got there Bot guy, a good run and try, says Roof. And yeah, now leading this game 7-0 after the conversion from Moyle. Like I said, frustration will be on the cards. Bocky's similar jersey to senior team, says Albert. It's a good kit design for this year, and I believe if they got the same collars or they got the same as they have for that under-20 Rugby Championship. I'm trying to see someone slightly zoomed in, which they are now running down this near side, so it might be a little bit more likely, but a big bump off there. And that is a big run from Nebelele. He is really causing some problems early, getting tipped up there. One of the South African locks, I think it was Norton. And off to the left-hand side. This game's going to be played at a tempo that cannot be sustained for these two sides for 80 minutes, not in 33 degrees Celsius heat. And try it, someone. I get another Aussie's response, says Ruth. Now rolling this one back, it will be the try scorer Peed. Oh, almost partially charged by Bo Morris. An awkward bouncing ball, looks like a 50-22 to me. And the ref hesitantly sticks his arm out, just watching that one for the Aussie number 10 Fowler. Gets a high five from Sid Harvey. Trying to keep morale high, but just allowing that one to go out. The Barbarians are usually played in November, and usually you combine two Southern Hemisphere teams that want to hang around in London for an extra week. And they're very powerful. Yesterday's lot were not that. True, like it did, like I said, it looked like a side that had no experience playing together. And when you look through, like, of course there were quite a few All Blacks in there, but you know, the guys who were in that side, probably in terms of the All Blacks, hadn't played together in a good, I'd say probably 4 years for the likes of Shannon Frizzell and, or maybe not quite 4, maybe 3 years for a couple of those guys. Faina Nuku, been overseas for a while, but South Africa were by far the stronger team in that matchup and got a massive opportunity to test out that set piece, which I think was one of the big goals for that match. Does anyone know who's playing Japan today? Says Robert. I can get that information for you. For the under-20s. We'll go here. Japan. Are Japan in this comp? No, they aren't actually in the under-20s competition. So the 12 teams, we've got France versus Spain a bit later on. Ireland versus Georgia. New Zealand, Italy, Argentina, Wales. France, Wales, that must be next week. So yeah, just the 6 games taking place. Scotland versus England also having an early try, I do see. But we'll try our best not to spoil that one. I almost had that pronunciation, says Ruth. That one's going to be kicked downfield. Australia now with the line-out throw round halfway. Sydney Harvey not looking happy at the moment. I think that one big breakaway for the Australians. No score shown for England versus Scotland unless there has been no score. Says Jasmine. For me, I've got the online scoreboard of it. And it's 5-0 currently, but I won't tell you who's got the 5. Unless you guys don't mind a spoiler. It depends on whether or not anyone's watching that game after this one. But of course, after this one, we've got 2 more games that are taking place for the under-20. So more than likely on one of those broadcasts, they'll probably say who ended up winning. Now Fowler told to use it around the halfway line here for the Junior Wallabies. Kicked him behind. And that's a very nice kick again from Australia. Both sides playing a pretty decent territory game. What games are you covering? Says Roscombe Row, I believe it is. Just this one for today, unfortunately. And that is only due to the next game that we were considering was New Zealand-Italy. Although it does kick off at 6:30 a.m. New Zealand time. Currently it is sitting 1:42. So yeah, I think it's just going to be the one for this matchup. I'm watching it, listening to this one, says Fleshin. No one wants to watch the English. Who's the talisman for the Aussies, says Ruth. They've got some decent young talent coming up through. So at 9, they've got Sharples with 10 being Joey Fowler. But I do think that they're going to have their hands full. Moyo has proven to be quite a handy option at 10 for this Junior Boks side, alongside Pete, who is the lone try scorer. In this one, they have TMO FIFA style. Says Jasmine. Right, we have got the line out now, though, for Australia. I believe it did turn into a 50-22. After that great kick. Nicely claimed. Rolling maul now starting. Although breaking off the back. Fowler passes it out wide. Chance here for Harvey. Holding the ball in one hand. He goes through. And Harvey scores the try. Sends Yosta the wrong way. And Australia, they fire straight back into this matchup. Sid Harvey, like I mentioned, he's a sevens guy that showed pure pace as a young individual. He's got good vision from the back, and he's found a gap in this box defence. We can watch it live. Depending on where you are in the world, will depend on your options for Super Mr. Randy Orton. Do enjoy what Randy Orton does, of course. They needed an RKO out of nowhere on Sid Harvey to be able to stop him, but Sky Sport here in New Zealand, DSTV in South Africa. Other than those 2 locations, I'm not too sure though. But I do think that World Rugby's website should have an option of where to watch. And fire back Aussies. And Sebastian is unemployed, dossing the summer back home, says Fleshin. Sid Harvey also going to be taking the kicks for today off the left boot. Had a slight slip there as he went up to the ball. Misses away to the side, 7 points to 5 now. The score between these teams. At already 13 minutes down. It always flies by in these under-20 matches. I remember doing that South Africa versus New Zealand game. The last game of the under-20 Rugby Championship. It was back and forth. It was very entertaining. In the end, almost about 90-something points, or close to 90, scored in that fixture. This game may not quite be setting up that way, but I think that we'll have a relatively close match between the two. Sid Harvey on the short side. Another missed tackle on him. They've been told to get out of there, South Africa, although they are going to go for a bit of a counter right now. Referee says that the hands are allowed. Nicely claimed by Pete on the breakdown. And now South Africa managing to take it back. Something that we see quite a bit in the under-20s is that turnover off the kick-off and winning the turnover penalty there. It is Lapina. And also Hamish DJ rocking the house, says Ruth. And there as well. I was trying to my best not to lose my voice there. It's getting relatively close to disappearing on me. Did a lot of talking yesterday, and maybe it wasn't as many hours as a normal weekend. Oh, that ball's stuck on the roof. But yeah, it was quite a hectic couple matches. Now, line out throw here for Ata. Now sitting 22 metres out from the South African line. Oh, sorry, it was actually the halfway line. My apologies. The stand looks very similar no matter where you are looking at it from. But once again, a very nice day, 33 degrees Celsius for these two sides to be playing in. Fowler on the short side goes for the grubber in behind. Good chase coming from Australia. Brave play from Houston, who tries the big step, but he's taken down by Bo Morrison. Gets back up and slammed down. And a huge shot from Cooper Waters. Now Moyo, considering running it himself, is going to be dragged down 45 metres out from South Africa's line. This game has been back and forth. I think that it would go a long way if the South African side can just incorporate a couple offloads in terms of in that contact, get that next pass away. Good attack and run from Bester. And Sebastian also has a tiger print speedo. I remember that, says Ruth. A good shot. Oh, Riley Norton. 16 minutes in. Ball available here for Pete, although he has to dig pretty deep into that breakdown to be able to get it. Now ready to kick it high. Big diving effort from Bo Morrison, who honestly does look like he could be a future Wallabies option. Sid Harvey kicking down the field again, looking for a bit of territory. Well covered at the back from Mintu, who now runs it forward. Oh, is that a foot trip? Because if it was, could be a little bit of trouble there for one of the Australian players. I think they've said that both men just running in the same direction. Why does the stadium look like it's in Fiji? It actually kind of does have a bit of a Pacific Island feel to it. But yeah, it is in Italy. I'm not sure whether or not this is a stadium that normally has some football played or whether it is just predominantly rugby, but it's an interesting setup in terms of the amount of spare space under the stadium or under the grandstand. Like there are a couple rooms, but a lot of just open pillars. It's a bit of a unique design. But yeah, the weather's certainly turned up, and it's probably not a bad place to be underneath there with the weather the way that it is. There's a big shot coming in from Arta, but the South Africans only sitting a few metres out from the line now. Thought about the offload for Norton. Couldn't quite get it away. If they can shift this one left, they should be able to score. Nice hands from South Africa. Almost over the line, just short, and actually knocks it on there for Gilmo, I should say. Minto. Try-saving tackle from the Australians. Cool, I thought it was just me, says Robert there. Just inches out, landed on his face. Unfortunately for him, his face did not count as a try. Only going to be a few metres out from the line here, Australia, with their scrum feed. Showing that man, Lekane. He is possibly a future Springbok. Of course, we saw a debut, well, a kind of debut, in that number 7 jersey for Vincent Tuchuka. Does look like he could have a bright season ahead, but you give that man a few years, and Lekane could be right up there in that Springboks environment. Hope the Bockies don't fade again towards the end, says Bruce. Yeah, both of these sides will fatigue. And the thing is, the Under-20 Rugby Championship, it happened. But this game, I believe, is being played in a lot warmer temperature, which means the chance of either of these sides making it the full 80 at the pace that these Under-20 guys like to play the game at, it's very slim. But it's going to be very entertaining. Who's going to be able to dig deeper is the big question. They're having a water break now after 18 and a half minutes. So it is going to be a 3-minute hydration opportunity for these two teams. Disco Fever, says Ruth. Should mention, while we have got this 3-minute water break, they are actually doing an air break here in New Zealand. But these are the matches that are taking place next round of the Under-20 Rugby Championship. Australia taking on the Scottish. England taking on South Africa. Those two games taking place at 3:30 p.m. South African time and 6 p.m. South African time on Friday. And then in terms of the other matches that are happening, France versus Wales, Argentina versus Spain, New Zealand, Georgia, and also Ireland versus Italy. And there's one other match that is taking place currently as well. That one being Scotland versus England. High scoring game. In fact, when you look at the score of that one, it's pretty much double the score of this contest. Those two sides going back and forth with each other in that one. We have got there, this hilarious, says Ruth. And there as well. And a face cruncher on the floor, Yeah, he got close to scoring it, Mento, but just needed that arm to be able to come round and put that ball down rather than headbutting the ground. Of course, injuries are also something to think about for these young guys in this competition. It is more than likely going to be, I think it's 5 games, maybe even 6, if you make it all the way to the final. Leopard skin thongs, Speedos are a club uniform, says Fleshin. And there as well. I'm just going to have a very quick look while we are also at the water break and see the extent of the kind of format of this competition. Work out exactly who plays who as we do progress. We'll go here. We'll go here. Yeah, so it has a semi-final. And then you've got 5th to 8th in the semis play each other. So it must be first in each group and then the best next team. How long is each half? Each half is 40 minutes, just like the senior rugby, except they do have that 3-minute break for drinks in between, just because of how hot it is out there on the field in Italy, about 33 degrees Celsius. And whoop says one beer Bosch. And also thongs and stuff. What about polka dots? There's a roof there too, but I would say we're not a mile off from this first drinks break coming to a close, and the players getting back out there ready to go. Yep, we have got now the line out here for the South Africans. Nebelele having a great run earlier on in the match. Drinks water, not whiskey, says Ruth. Now rolling maul. And quite nicely here, getting wrestled down. No advantage this time going the way of South Africa. 22 metres out from the Australian line. Good flat run from Bester. So whoever does finish top of the group, or if you are the best ranked next team, you'll be playing on the 14th of July. And that will be 14th of July whether you're in New Zealand or you are in South Africa, by the looks of that. And then after that, of course, the final is whoever does win that one. That's taking place on the 19th. The 19th also has all of the other playoff matches taking place too, and I believe they all go towards the overall rankings for these young guys. But South Africa turning down the 3 points. We're having a Spain and Great Britain game, says Santiago. So Spain have not played yet. They are going head-to-head with France at 4 a.m. New Zealand time, so that is in 2 hours, 7 minutes time. And then, unless you're talking about the sevens one. I know that there was a sevens competition over the weekend, wasn't there? So perhaps it was that one you're talking about, Santiago. Ready to throw it in. 5 metres out from the line. South Africa have claimed that one, looking to get the rolling maul moving, but Australia get themselves the penalty for South Africa being offside. Raspberry soda or banana thick shake. And yeah, I had my fill of Jack Daniels last night, says Robert. And Francois, I can't wait, says Ruth. And there as well. So yeah, coming up too early, the penalty going against the South Africans. That was a big opportunity to add a few extra points, but the tricky part is, do you take threes? In a game like this, of course, the youngsters, they love scoring tries. When we look at how you get bonus points, you get 4 or more tries and you get 1. Also, if you're within 7, you get a bonus point as well. But, I think that both of these sides, because of how competitive it's going to be in this group, because they have got England and Scotland who are both scoring tries for fun at this very point in time, they know that they need as many points as physically possible. Kick downfield from Australia, chasing after this one. Well handled at the back from South Africa, but it looks like it is going to be the penalty now going the way of the Junior Boks. And that is for offside this time against the Australians. South Africa on the wrong side of the ref's whistle. See Albert, although they are on the right side of it here, they have managed to get themselves the penalty. To be fair, it's been a bit 50-50 in terms of who has won the penalty so far. Of course, South Africa getting that one before, then Australia winning one, then back to South Africa. I think it's just about that discipline of both sides not getting too over exuberant. And good evening, Hamish. Sorry, I couldn't type during the Barbars game last night. The Kiwi Rob drinking game was challenging. The tequila one, says Christopher. I can't get nothing by you, says Robert. Now another line out here for Nebelele. They're just saying about Nebelele not too far away from perhaps being in the Curry Cup competition. In fact, that's starting up relatively soon as well, I think, in about maybe 40 days, I want to say. Or it might even be a little bit closer, 26 days. Must be 40 days 2 weeks ago, which was probably when I checked. Staying away from the gin, says Robert, and water and Panadol for a hangover plus fish and chips. I would definitely consider some fish and chips, other than the fact that it is currently 2 a.m. in the morning. That is another penalty going the way of Australia. The rolling ball going wrong. Oh, no, sorry. Collapsing is the first infringement, actually penalty to South Africa. We have got there, your name is Hamish. You might be watching the wrong game. You would think so, although I don't think there's really, other than maybe way back in the line, there's not a lot of Scottish left. And I don't think I was named after, with a Scottish name in mind. It was more so, apparently, I look like a Hamish. So they named me Hamish. Although my dad's name also sounds very Scottish, but it's not on purpose. Now ready to throw this one in. Chance here for South Africa. 5 metres out from the line. Once again, they are turning down the 3 points. They are not willing to go for what would be pretty safe. I mean, Moyo's a good man to have with a kicking tee in hand. They want 7 points. And to be fair, the amount of infringements that we're seeing from the Australians looping around the back, very close to the try line, but again, just being dragged down short. That was Nayali. Now Theron, 3 metres out from the line. Nebelele. And that little bit closer. Very, very close to the line. Right. They're looking through to try and find someone to go over, and they do. And that is going to be, I believe it is, Herman Lube. No, that looks a bit taller than a prop, or is it? If that's a prop, that's a massive bloke. Is he a prop? I'm waiting to see them pop up the name. It was either Theron. No, it is Herman Lube. How tall is he? I'm still wondering what a Hamish looks like, says Lilia, I should say. So maybe don't go for the posts. Yeah, they've been turning it down multiple times here for South Africa. They are chasing the bonus point, like I said, in a group where you've got England and Scotland, who are both doing pretty well in terms of scoring tries at this current point in time. You have to make sure you get that points differential up. He's 20 and 7 foot tall as a prop. He's built huge. That one's gone over. And that is now going to make the score 14 points to 5 after the 25 minutes. So it's going well at the moment for this Junior Boks team. Aussie response coming, says Ruth. Yeah, I thought it was the lock when he popped up. I'm just going to have a quick look and see if we've got his exact height. Probably quite a hard man to find. Oh, he's 6 foot 3 inches and weighing 125 kgs. So he's about 275 pounds as a 20-year-old and sitting 1.91 metres tall. Probably got a bright future, I would think. How does the front row work? Surely it's uncomfortable for a hooker. You'd think so, although there are some pretty tall props around. I guess it would all come down to the body position, because, I mean, Nebelele is a pretty solid individual too. But I'm not sure of the height of Ngobesi on the other side. Now, that's going to be knocked on and picked up by South Africa. Now Australia making another error, and it means that South Africa can move forward. Mlaba siding against that offload. And out jumping a tackler. Big boys running down the wing. Good step, but well handled by Sid Harvey. Looks like he might have hurt himself in the process. Now loose ball picked up by the South Africans with Bester moving up to the 22. I think that now we're seeing the rhythm found by the Junior Boks. Passing it across to Riley Norton. Now left-hand side again. Oh, knocked on though by Moyo. A bit of a rear error. I think he was too busy thinking about that next pass on the outside. Probably his first mistake of the day. Where can I watch the game? Depending on where you are in the world will depend on what options you've got. For us here in New Zealand, it is on Sky Sport 2. We're seeing the rhythm of the baby. Oh, knock on. Yeah, unfortunately for him, like I said, he's been very solid so far in this game, Vusi Moyo, but I guess maybe just that little bit of pressure and potentially just thinking about that next pass before catching it first. And greetings all, says Cape Tonian, welcome in. Now ready to put this ball in for the scrum, about 25 metres out from the Australian line for Sharples, and the penalty goes the way of Australia down on this far side, which is Ungwabesi, who's been penalised. Will relieve a bit of the pressure, but the big push from the Australians. And I from South Africa, thanks for the broadcast. No worries at all. We are going to be covering a few of the under-20 matches. It's a good kick towards the sideline too. I have a slight suspicion, though, that some of them may overlap with the internationals taking place later on. But yeah, we're going to try our best to be able to avoid those. Who was your man in the match in yesterday's bot game? I was giving it to Cheslin Colby just from what he was able to do, but I do think someone like a Ludiacha or, honestly, Vincent Tichuka, I think that they both did very well throughout the game. In fact, you could probably look at a list of about 6 or 7 guys that really did step up, but I just thought Colby, as always, was just on point out on the wing. He was being involved in absolutely everything in that second half, creating line break. Speaking of a line break here, the big run from the big man, Bo Morrison, dragged down, risky offload. I don't think that had to be thrown. He took a bit of a risk and it didn't pay off. Now 5 metres out from their line, South Africa have got this ball back. Creel Captain Iron Man says Ruth. And also we've got the good afternoon, Hamish from sunny Gordons Bay, says Jacques there. What temperature are you sitting at the moment, Jacques? Do let me know. I know this game's about 34 degrees as it continues into the afternoon. Nicely kicked into touch by South Africa, who do once again survive that Australian onslaught. And hello, Ruth, says Jacques. And there as well. But Ata now, the line-out throw. It was such a great run from Bo Morrison, but then he ruined it by trying to throw something that didn't need to be thrown, looking for a miracle offload. Oh, going to the front, not very straight there. And it will now be a South African scrum. It's about 8 degrees here in Observatory, says Ruth. Just the 10 minutes remaining in this first half. We did have that drinks break around 18 and a half minutes. I feel like by now, players are probably keen to get another drink. 2 tries coming for South Africa, just the 1 for Australia. 4 tries gets you the bonus point. It's exactly what both of these sides will be aiming for. I can tell you, without spoiling too much, one of the 2 sides in that other match between England and Scotland have already got a bonus point at this stage of their contest. Now breaking the line. Here comes Pete. He's decided he wants one for his teammate. Beautiful flick on the inside and pure pace. And another try coming for South Africa. This time it is Vusi. Oh no, in fact it was Sia Unlozi. He does score the try. It's as if me saying that there was a bonus point in the other game made South Africa go, you know what, we need one of those. So we might as well ramp it up there a little bit more. But a great line break again from Hassim Pede. Found the gap. And then just no panic in him whatsoever. Were Aussie's favourites for this game. I believe South Africa came in as favourites for this matchup. Even though Australia did beat them last time. Slight favourites in South Africa. But it was pretty even. Like last time they played it was 29-24. Now lining up this kick. Chance here for Vusi Moyo. I think he'll be in a huge hurry to kick this one. 10 seconds on the shot clock now. Puts it over. How much do boil your water bottle and freeze it? It is the purest tasting water ever, says Lamatz. See, I always get confused at where the cutoff is because it's got the matas in. I assume it's Lamatasi, isn't it? And not twice. It's because it's just got the at. I get confused, but I believe it's Lamatasi. But yeah, it would be an idea. Although, how long after I boil the water do I put it in the bottle, or else won't my water bottle melt? And the other game could end in a rout. says Fleshin. Now, nice running from Lakane. Gets a bit closer. Oh, and the knock-on. No, in fact, it was going to be a knock-on from P, but the penalty goes the way of South Africa again. Australia it's starting to be a little bit ill-disciplined as the fatigue from the first half does set in. Yeah, just ending up accidentally slapping that ball for Edwin Langi. Basically, I avoid what I mean fish make love in it. Says Christopher. But then humans make love in air, don't they? So, like, breathing's the same thing, is it not? Now, oh, big shot. Coming in on Finn Baxter. Back off to the right-hand side. Little kick attempted in behind. Doesn't quite work out for the Australians. Fowler thought he saw a bit of space, and the penalty now going the way of South Africa again here. Looking good for the Baby Boks. There's Xander. Oh, maybe a bit of an injury here. One of the South African players. We are breathing shagged here. And looking good for the Baby Boks. There's Xander. And also, just call me Lama. Yes, wait for the water to get cold. Cold egg. Slamatasi. Well, I was just wondering, because it's like, how long do I wait before it goes in? I guess you could probably do it when it's kind of warm, just not, of course, when it's boiling. And I can feel the ice coming off that mountain. I think it's just for diving in off the feet. That breakdown, but yeah, massive shot. Sid Harvey by Nebelele, who looks like he will be just about continuing in this game. Yep, he's fine. He's decided he might as well. Interesting topic here, I see, says Xander. It's always interesting on a late night live stream in terms of the randomness that does ensue, but now, kick downfield from Moyo. It's on the roof again. Oh no, it came down that time. A fish makes splashes, not love, says Ruth. See, anytime I see a fish, I can't think of how it would, do its magic in the water, just because, do they just slap up against each other? I'm sure there's a documentary on it. I don't think I'll be watching it. That's going to be drop ball from Erasmus. Means that there will be another scrum beat this time for Australia. There, the other game is done on 32 minutes. Says Fleshin. Oh, it's getting a little bit one-sided. See, I actually wanted to have it down the bottom corner, but my streaming software was like, no, you can't have more than one screen share. So that was quite sad. But yeah, looks like it's a high-scoring one. Jean Klein out for the rest of Italy Test, but Peter Steph-Toy will be back. Is that right? What did Jean Klein do in terms of injury? What was the big knock that got him? Because I know Ludiacha took a nasty head knock with Jean-Luc Dupré. Yeah, I think the initial ruling for Peter Steph was he was going to be back for the second one, wasn't it? Is he now back for the first two, or are they going to wait a little bit longer rather than risking him? The same as a hot tub, and Aussies are moving forward, says Ruth. It's only because YouTube won't let me use the F word, says Christopher. Now rolling it back again, Pede. Being told to use it now. Oh, charged down by the Australians. Oh, that's a great leap there from Cooper Waters. He got up way above anyone else. I didn't exactly say they didn't say what exactly he injured, says Albert. Hopefully it's nothing too serious. I know that they've got a long list at the moment of guys who are out with injuries. That's going to be another knock-on from Australia. It's a game of knock-ons at this current point in time. Peter Steph-Toy in for second Italy Test, says Albert. The reason I was asking so much is me and Tim, we did film our Springboks squad prediction, or our side prediction, about probably 4 hours ago. So I was hoping you weren't going to say that he was going to be back for this match, or else then, of course, we'd both have it drastically wrong, which we normally do anyway. But, yeah. We should rep players like Evan and Peter Steph-Toy and Cotton for the 2027 World Cup, says Sakamola. And interception try, says Ruth. We need Peter Steph-Toy for the mighty Italy, says Othiko there. Now, another scrum. 4 minutes remaining. 21 points to 5. Just a one try away from a bonus point here for the Junior Boks, and they've got another penalty advantage. I don't know what Australia can do in this game other than concede, because that is another massive gap. 2-on-1, too much pace, and that is the bonus point, the second of the match for Siontlosi, and he bounced his way over the try line. There was not a lot of slide in that one, but the bonus point now in play, and that means that both of the leading sides at halftime will have a bonus point heading into the second, but they are on fire at the moment, the Junior Boks. Full field try. Well, says Albert. Yeah, Australia seem to not be able to avoid having a penalty advantage against them or dropping the ball. That's been their two most common factors in this match. But yeah, that did not look like a fun dive for Ndlozi, who wanted to slide nicely and instead went bang, bang, bang and bounced over the try line multiple times. And try, Bot getting crazy. So here's Ruth. Now, shot clock, 12 seconds remaining on, and not a lot of time to be able to get this one ready for Moyle. One team can play in sunshine, the other are vampires and are struggling in it. And the other game sees flesh, and that kick has gone over. And now 28 points to 5. Just the 2.5 minutes remaining. So in the other game, still, believe it or not, as high scoring as this one is, extra about 10 points in that other matchup. So everyone can just rinse and repeat. So here's Albert. It's all they have to do. They've got that bonus point secured. Of course, points differential will definitely be coming in as well, although we'll have a quick look at the tiebreakers in terms of what they are. Tiebreakers are head-to-head result, which does mean, you know, it could be quite crucial. Poll winners plus second or best second place qualified for the semis. So that comes into it a little bit too. Will you be covering Ireland versus Georgia? We will not be, no. Could be an intriguing game though, because Georgia, of course, do bring a lot of physicality. I think that New Zealand's biggest test in their group stage, without jinxing it, of course, will be their game up against the Irish. That one should be epic. After the last time the two sides played and there was that haka standoff for a good couple of minutes. Yeah, should be some tension when those two sides face off. Huge gap now. Aussies will have to stretch it second half. So here's Ruth. Now ready to throw this one in. Nebelele. Only just the 80 seconds remaining, and he's going to use up about 40 of those to throw this line out. Taken now by Lakhane. Off to the right-hand side. Almost through again for the South Africans. Good attack and run from Nyale, who is still going. Someone needs to drag him down. Eventually they get him to the turf, but by then the damage was done. The meters were made, and now Erasmus moving to 10 meters out from the try line. Short side for Pede. They get another try before the end of the first half in the wide channel and in over the try line. This time it is Cheswell Josta. And another one on the board for the South African team. And one Luke, we find Rassie said just light head knock, says Albert. Okay, so if it's a concussion, he'll probably be out for 2 weeks. Somewhere around there. That's a healthy lead, says Albert. It certainly is. And getting over in the corner. The wingers are having a field day at the moment. It's men versus boys. Says all in the game. And it's certainly a turnaround compared to the last time that these two sides faced off. Australia beating South Africa only 3 months ago. In fact, it may have even been less than that. Just seems like they've definitely shown up for this tournament. Now ready to line up this kick. Moyo is currently sitting at 100% off the kicking tee. Lekabokis says Sakabula. And it got worse for the Vampires. And what's crazy is South Africa have left a lot of points out there, and he's missed that kick. Not quite getting that one over for Moyo, but that is going to be halftime, ladies and gentlemen. And it is sitting 33 points to 5. But this has been a pretty one-sided affair between these two teams. Currently 28 points difference between these two sides. And the other game, 30 points difference. So a couple real high-scoring ones. This is close compared to what is happening in the other game. Sears Fleshin. And we have got there a huge gap now. Aussies will have to stretch it second half. Yeah, if you're Australia, you need to focus on scoring 3 tries, even if it means conceding 1 or 2 more, because then you get that bonus point, and that in the long term could lead to maybe 1 or 2 extra rankings. But I mentioned about how crucial it is to get the victory here, as heading into those next games that are coming up, particularly like the next match for South Africa is up against England. It's going to be a huge encounter. I think, like Rassi said, they wrote down who will play long ago, so Juan Luke will probably not have played in the next test anyway. Yeah, I do think it's probably time for either Visa or Rus to get that chance at number 8. I won't let you know who I selected in my Springboks prediction, but Tim went wild in terms of the loose forward trio. He did a bit of reshuffling, and I'm not sure how it's going to be met, but hopefully that one will be out in, I'd say, about 3-4 hours, covering Lions versus Reds. I certainly am. And yeah, it's going to be a Wednesday night game for us here in New Zealand, but I'm planning on covering a majority of the British and Irish Lions matches, 90% anyway. There might be one somewhere along the lines that we miss, but that one hopefully won't be the one. Yeah, halftime in this contest, high scoring, 28 points to 5. I think it's actually 33 points to 5. Tim probably picked Sierra at 8. It was mentioned he had someone else there for a start, though. And then it kind of got shuffled around a little bit. I hate falling asleep a little bit and then waking up to a wide scoreline, says Katzenell. And also go to the Junior Boks. Yeah, they've looked great in this match. They did have that early try that they conceded of Sydney Harvey, but other than that, I mean, they've looked like the much better team out there on the field. And like I said, the last time that these two sides played, the end score, believe it or not, was 29 points to 24 in favour of the Australians. Now, I think that was in South Africa as well. So I do feel like heading into this competition, South Africa, they wanted to prove they are extremely strong and that game was a bit of a fluke. And at the moment, scored a massive amount of points. I'm trying not to yawn, and it hit me eventually. But yeah, it will be very intriguing to see what happens throughout the second half. It's a shame this game can't end 54 points to 7. Tell you what, it's a common scoreline this weekend, so it would have been quite funny had it ended up the same. But yeah, I think we're going to have, I want to say there's going to be a bit of something coming back from Australia, but they're going to have to do it pretty soon. And also, the North usually has the best under-20s, right? Especially France. There are some really formidable sides from the North. Aussie were down 19-0 and came back to win. Second half will be interesting. Says Lama, that is true. They did have quite a deficit to try and make up. I mean, they haven't had many chances in this first half, even inside of the South African half. They've given away a huge amount of penalties, had a lot of handling errors. I do think that the temperature has got to them just a little bit. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see whether or not that comeback can be on. Also, that other game between Scotland and England, that has been a high-scoring one between the two sides. And while we're at the halftime break, I feel like I might as well go on to that one, click watch from live, and see all of the tries from that other matchup while we're at it. Just because we do have that ability of being able to do so. I know it didn't take very long for the first try of the contest to be scored. But yeah, it looks like it's just as hot where they are playing. I'm not sure how far away it is distance-wise compared to this match in terms of how far they are from location. I'd assume everyone would be relatively close, though, just to make it nice and easy in terms of travelling. Fair play to Australia, being able to consistently produce good rugby union players given the prevalence of AFL and the NRL, says all in the game. And cheers, Hamish, halftime, says Ruth in there as well. Are they? They're doing the Australian. Oh, okay, no, never mind. They've worked it out. They were trying to show highlights and they were playing the national anthem as if the game had just started, which utterly confused me. But it was a breakaway try down the wing that they start the move off. It was the big run from Nibalele, who went on the inside to Pete, and that was the first of many tries that we saw from the South Africans throughout the first 40 minutes. In terms of what else we got to see, we saw a quick fire try back from Sydney Harvey. But that was the only thing we saw coming back from this Aussie side. We saw a couple tries down the wing for Ndlozi, and also Justa was able to score 2. And so Bok are 23 points ahead. I actually think they're more than that. I want to say it's 33 points to 5, but it hasn't given credit for that last try. And keep an eye out for Trevisan playing for Italy under-20. He's a Lions up-and-coming force, says Robert Wild. That's the thing, like, this competition is the perfect one to see those young players that, you know, in the future, we are going to see them do extremely well. I think even in these two sides, we're seeing a lot of guys that could make an impact. We have got from Leon, greetings from Northern Alberta. And there's a welcome in, Leon. Hope you are doing extremely well too. I think it's actually, or it is actually the English who dominate up there, or up here, says Bleshin. Aussie coach will be throwing water bottles and shouting in that dressing room, says Ruth. To be fair, a few water bottles being thrown might be quite refreshing in the heat that they're playing. I think the Bok boys have got this. I just want to see if Aussie reply, make it a good game, says Lama. And I hope for the sake of the contest that we see a little bit of something coming back. But at the same time, you know, you just wonder whether or not this deficit, like I said, I believe it is 33-5 rather than 28. I think there was that one extra try being scored right at the end of the half for South Africa. I'll just have a quick look though. Yeah, they were 28-5 and then they scored. So, yeah, it is 33-5 at the moment, unlike what the scoreboard does actually say. They're having a good half so far. A few of the South African players. Pete has been impressive throughout this match. Nebelele has been heavily involved. And they mentioned about how he might be close to signing a Curry Cup deal. I think all of those Curry Cup sides will be keeping a close eye on him after this performance. Aussies are a good team. Second half could make it closer. South Africa big boys will slow down a bit, says Verhoeven. That is a good point. They have got some huge timber in that 4-pack. These are the benches for these two sides for the under-20s for Australia. They have got a Kanayaki. He is another guy from that 7 side of things. Same with Bryle, I believe, was in there briefly. Do keep an eye out for those men in terms, or those men, I should say, in terms of the under-20s South African side. They have got Schumann, Reed, Erasmus, Robala. They are just showing the possession stats, 67% in favour of the Australians, in favour of South Africa there. Australia missing 23 tackles throughout that first half, making 68. That is a big concern in terms of that completion rate. I'd also Visa, Van der Merwe and Williams coming off the bench for the Junior Boks too. I would say we're not a mile away from the second half getting underway. We have got as well the English through scholarships. Go to good schools all over the place to get good young players. Says Bleshin. There's a Van der Merwe in the Bok, useful rugby name, says Ruth. And yeah, quite a few common names in the South African lineup. But yeah, still a really nice day. I wonder whether or not any of the other days upcoming are actually going to be affected by the weather, or whether it will all stay as hot as this. I don't think I see a single hoodie in the stands. Every single person has a shorts, t-shirt combination on, some in singlets. 33.5, isn't it? It is indeed, yes. I don't know why the online scoreboard still has it as 33, but we clarified it a bit earlier on that year. There was that last minute try coming from Chiswell Justa, so yeah, 33.5 at the moment. Why don't you make eye contact with us when you take a swig, Hamish? Says Christopher. It'd feel pretty personal, wouldn't it? I mean, sometimes I end up looking around. Definitely if I'm having like a longer drink, I feel like I'm taking too long, so I kind of look as if to say I need to hurry up. Rather late than never. Hello and thank you, Hamish. Appreciate it. Says Ria, thank you very much for being here. It is greatly appreciated. Can't always expect it to prayer. And Van der Merwe says all in the game. What is the names of the players 7 and 14 for South Africa? Can anyone tell me? So 7 in this game is Lakane. And number 14 is Chiswell Justa. And so far, we've seen Justa manage to score himself a try, and also Khaliklane was very strong in that first half in terms of power. And Afternoon Rare says, Rufin, it's bloody hot here in the UK, but I hear it's 10 plus degrees more over there. Not the nicest rugby weather. Yeah, 33 degrees Celsius was what was expected for this game. I'm not sure whether or not it has got even warmer. If it's 33 here in England, it's a bit hotter in the middle of Italy, says Fleshin. And Bok look ruthless here. Yeah, they've looked really strong throughout that first half, and I'm sure they will want to back it up with a second half strong performance. That man from the other angle kind of looked like Andy Farrell. Of course, he will not be in Italy, though. He will be in Australia with his British and Irish Lions. In terms of the upcoming international rugby for the under-20s, ladies and gentlemen, that England versus South Africa game could be extremely substantial when it comes to this group, as it's thoroughly important, one of those two sides, if they both win here, to back up that victory with another one. In terms of a few of those other games, that Australia versus Scotland match, that might come down to just trying to push up that little bit further on the overall standings. And then also we've got other international games taking place a little bit later on this week. Reds versus British and Irish Lions. That is happening at 9:45 p.m. on Wednesday night. We will be covering that one on the channel. For you guys in South Africa, that will be around lunchtime with around a 12 p.m. kickoff. In terms of the other games, we have got the Māori All Blacks taking on Scotland, New Zealand versus France, Waratahs playing the British and Irish Lions, South Africa, they will be in action up against the Italians, Georgia versus Ireland, Argentina, England, Brazil taking on the Argentinian XV, and then also Australia versus Fiji as the Sunday afternoon fixture. The brutal thing about that Sunday afternoon game is we probably will end up doing an all-nighter with about maybe 4 or 5 matches back-to-back, and then we have that game that we get up at the random hour for. But it should be good fun over all these international games. Hopefully a few more closer ones than we're seeing throughout this weekend. Australia look like they're playing in 45 degrees, the Boks in 25 degrees. And Pool B is an easy run for France, says Verhoeven. I'm curious to know who the other team, though, who will make it in for Group B. Because we might as well go one moment. We'll put that one up again in terms of who's playing who next. I'd assume, Argentina's under-20s, they aren't too shabby from what we've seen in the under-20 Rugby Championship. I think Wales under-20, though, aren't they a little bit stronger than some give them credit for? And then Spain, I have absolutely no idea, if I'm honest, in terms of how strong they are for their under-20s. Looks like second half just about to take place. Okay, I assume that's the assistant referee. Either that or they've had to swap a referee for half-time. Two teams now making their way back out onto the field, getting ready to go for this contest. You guys looking like they are feeling refreshed and raring to go. Oh, come on, Wales, under-20, you can do it. Says Ruth. And that would be a big upset if they were able to do that. And like they're saying, 33 points to 5. A big start to the match for South Africa. But can they finish the job up against a side in Australia who are known for making a bit of a comeback? They did it up against New Zealand. They did it up against South Africa in the Under-20s Rugby Championship. Wales always stay under 20, says Thiko. Just trying to look around. Any changes for the two sides? Looks like it. Right, so Ed Lange is actually on for Trevor King. So I'm not too sure what happened there, whether or not that was due to the repeat infringements at scrum time. Perhaps they did decide that it was a good time to take him off. See what kind of impact that has in the second 40, but it is kicked off by Moyo. And we are back underway. Pure pace from Edward Viosta. Tried to get up and claim that ball, but it is on the side of Bo Morrison and the Australians. Already under pressure inside of their own half. They've gone back into the pocket to Sid Harvey. Does manage to clear the lines. Decent kick too. Needed to be made as South Africa trying to put pressure right from the get-go. But Cheswell Euster has pure pace And I know that a lot of the guys in this competition are quick, but he is lightning fast down the wing. The way he was able to chase after that ball off the kickoff seemed to make the ground easy. Oh, throwing it back in, Nebeleli. Need to get this ball in for the South Africans. That wasn't the straightest throw, and referee has picked it up, so it does mean first scrum of the second half will go the way of the Aussies. Down by that 28-point margin. The other contest taking place, there is a 30-point difference between the two sides. So currently the way that the table would sit would have England as number 1, South Africa then as number 2. But either way, whoever wins that head-to-head taking place on Saturday afternoon for you guys in South Africa. In fact, it's early evening. That will be the big determining factor. See there, Ngubesi actually coming off the field for Oliver Reed. That is the one replacement that we saw made. So actually both on that same side of the scrum. So perhaps both teams feeling like that one was what was letting them down when it came to scrum time. Maybe South Africans got word that the Australians were switching their tight head and said, oh, well, we might as well do the same, not let them have any sort of head start in terms of that scrummaging knowledge. 2 minutes already gone in the second half. Australia, they do need 3 tries to get themselves at least a losing bonus point in this fixture. I'm going to be fed in by Sharples. Been told to use it. Chip in behind, attempted by Fowler. Ball, oh, that's a terrible bounce for Australia. They had 2 men who managed to chase after it, but sometimes that rugby ball just does not like you, and that is exactly what's happened there. And the worst thing for the Australians is he going to break through. Oh, would have been the try for South Africa, but the ball knocked on by Erasmus. In fact, that time it was actually Minto, the second butcher try. And yeah, you have to feel sorry for Australia. That bounce of the ball was shocking for them. Went straight over their heads. 2 men came through and found space in between South Africa and their fullback. It just didn't work out. And then that one, not able to hang on to it for Minto, which could have ended up with a try coming back the other way. Oh, looks like he's going to be all right here. For Albie Bester was just adjusting his boot, which will be a great sign for the South Africans, as he could be a real key in that midfield alongside Erasmus for competition. That bounce, the ball bounced higher than it was chipped. Yeah, it was a very steep one. And France is a threat. They got the forward game and the running game to boot. I'm scared of them, says Lama. Now, ball going to be fed into the scrum again here. For the Australians, they will hold strong. Being told to use it inside of the 22 carry back. Said Harvey. Kicks down the field well, taken at the back from Mintu. Now passes it across. Another line break there for the South Africans. It's about a 3-on-1. Too much pace. And they will score yet again another ball. Or another try, sorry. And it is Hasim Peed. Does get it again. They are just too strong in this match. Got to start putting names on the backs of shirts as a small way to move the game on. Not everything has to be tradition. Says all in the game, although there are some pretty long names around. I do think that back sponsor might be the reason behind it as well. They don't like having more writing other than just the brand on there. But yeah, I agree. It would definitely help in terms of for not just these younger players, but just in general for people to know who it is that is actually in the jerseys. And now Moyo. Let's here to line this one up. 35 minutes left and it is 38 points to 5. Then again, this Bok team looks great too, says Lama, and that kick has gone over. As long as we keep Sri Lanka out, we have our names on the shirts. Says Othiko. Great work so far from Moyo off the kicking tee. He has just missed the one, but 6 tries on the board here for South Africa, making a statement up against the Australians. And in terms of points differential, South Africa now find themselves with a better one than what is happening in the other game. So they would sit number 1 if this is the way all of the games ended in this group. South Africa inside of their 22, but a very one-sided affair, just like a couple of the other games we have covered on the channel. In fact, we haven't actually seen a close game for quite some time, and this one is definitely not going to be one of them. Good kick downfield from Moyo. Now, just talking about Vusi Moyo, perhaps a couple of years' time, could find himself that bot call up too. That hurts poor Aussie. Come on, says Ruth. Yeah, I'll be honest, I didn't think this game was going to be so one-sided. Like, last time they played, it was close, 29 points to 24 in favour of the Australians. But once again, it just seems like the Aussies haven't really shown up. That's a good run there, though, from Fowler. Once again, though, mistake from Australia, which is going to lead to a full field try from South Africa. Just seems to be every time Australia make a mistake, South Africa say, yep, okay, we'll take that one. And another try for Mintu at the back. And damn, Australia have nothing. They've got silly offloads. That's what they've been trying all throughout this game. And being 35 points down with half the game to go must be depressing. Says all in the game. Being down by 70, though, at the end of a contest could also be pretty brutal. And that's where Australia are heading at the moment. Aussie is kaput. Says says Lama. And also Jan Lewis at the box. And there as well. That try for Mintu. Moving up to now 45 points to 5 on the score sheet. Moyo. We'll be lining this one up. But this is a massive, massive victory. I know it's not over yet, but it's getting that way, isn't it? 40 points difference with the kick to come. And Moyo gets it over too. So just to put it into perspective, for Australia to be able to win this game from here, they would have to get themselves 6 converted tries and something. 6 converted tries from here would only draw them the game. Every time Australia are about to score, they drop the ball and South Africa score up the other end. Yeah, South Africa has pure pace. And I do think that is something they'll be able to use to their advantage in a couple of their future games too. It looks like a change is about to be made for the Australians. Kangaroos have no answer, says Ruth. Well, South Africa, you don't disappoint. Well done, says Rhian. I do think that South Africa, beating 23 defenders throughout that first half and Australia having those 23 missed tackles, you have to sort that out. And it looks like they are frustrated. I want to say that was Tom Robinson making his way off the field after just the 48 minutes. Aussies look so damn close, but just can't. I was hoping for a close game, but happy Mabocca winning. Says Verhorgen there. And yeah, like you said, they've been close. They've been on the verge of getting a try, and then a mistake, a drop ball, or another missed tackle, and now Klachane running forward. He's got so many options. He decides to go with a skip pass out on the left-hand side, finds Theron, who breaks through. Sid Harvey won't stop him, and it's another try for South Africa. This is an absolute onslaught from this Junior Boks side. Theron gives a nice head rub to Sydney Harvey after he misses the tackle too. South Africa now playing with a lot of confidence. Half century already on the board. People were talking about how quickly England was scoring. But now South Africa have said, hang on, we're ready for this. Their number 5 just gave the Aussie a patronising pat on the head. Says all in the game. Yeah, of course, that is probably from frustration as well. Like I mentioned, last time these two sides played, the Australians were able to beat South Africa in a close game. And I feel like that little rub as well perhaps was, hey, you may have got us last time, but look at the score now in a big competition where it matters. And they're promising in the under-20s champs comp. Now they look like an under-20 Chinese team. So yeah, Lama. To be fair, the Chinese sevens aren't too bad, so that probably wouldn't be terrible for the Aussies to look like at the moment. We have got there, this is just like me playing Jonah on PS1. Says Damo. Yeah, this is similar to what I used to do on Rugby 06. Me and Dad used to play on the same team. We'd be the All Blacks. We'd play the lowest ranked side that we could find, and we'd just keep on running in tries. You get to the halfway line with the line break, you draw and pass, or you'd sidestep yourself, and that's what South Africa are doing here. And now, Going to be kicking it downfield for Moyo. South Africa have spent a bit of money and time on the under-20s, and it shows. Says Verhoeven. It looks like the Aussies have come to play. Says Naidu. Or the Arsies, I believe it is there. And Aussie are horses. Says Wemma. And they look promising. Oh, no, I read that one, didn't I? But yeah, they are really struggling. The thing is, it's still 30 minutes to go. And that's a very long time when you're already down by almost 50 points, when you're exhausted, when you're playing in 30-plus degree temperatures. You know, you just want to go home. The last game was was just a ploy to lull the Aussies into a false sense of security. You think? I mean, it was definitely not the best tactic, I guess you could say, unless, of course, they go on to win this whole competition because, you know, losing to Australia did cost them the Rugby Championship chance of winning. Wildcard is going to blow a gasket, says Wenmar. I'm not too sure whether or not he follows the under-20 side of things as much as the main side, but that British and Irish Lions tour, that is definitely something that he will keep an eye on. Bok team and under-20 team cooking at the moment, Hamish, says Sue. It looks like the RCs have forgotten their Pacific players, says Naidu. I mean, one of the Pacific more representatives here, Arta, going to make his way off the field. We have got there, Boks are going to put 80 points past the Wallabies, says Simalezi. And yeah, that next game, the big one, up against the English, who are also winning, up against Scotland by a substantial margin. Whoever wins that game should theoretically book number one seed in this group, and perhaps even number one seed overall in the competition. Down in the front row, another penalty goes the way of South Africa. This clock feels like it's not even going forward at the moment. If you're Australia, and the Junior Boks are having fun. What he's doing wrong here? A lot. You probably couldn't even just break it down in one or two sentences, but they've made many handling errors. They've been terrible with their decision-making throughout this game in general, not just in the second half. Their tackling's been poor because they've missed about 30 by this point. Cover defence doesn't exist. They've conceded a lot of penalties. The list does go on. Wildcard has won Crusaders HIA rule infringement away from a heart attack, says Christopher. Now passed out wide. Chance here for Williams. Thought about going on the inside, but 5 metres out from the line. South Africa again will make metres for fun. Sydney Harvey doesn't seem to be able to stop anyone. He's just been run over by the other lock, Riley Norton, who thinks that he has scored it. They will check this one on the TMO. Harvey's staying down. He looks like he's having an absolutely awful time as he keeps getting run over. I'm surprised he didn't cry after the HIA call in the final. Says Lama there. A wildcard is always blows a gasket no matter what, says Albert. A TMO decision pending. I think this is down for Riley Norton. I think this is going to bring up close to 60 for the South Africans here. 28 minutes. That whole passage of play was less than 60 seconds, yet for Australia that would have felt like 5 to 10 minutes of exhausting defence in the heat. So the referees, they are going to run right over to check the screen. Pitch side monitor is all we've got for this under-20s championship. We haven't got the big screen, unfortunately. It's even a bit brutal for the referees, to be fair. You have to run across the field about probably 50 metres. He's on the phone? Who's ringing the ref? I think it's the TMO. I think they've said that the mics and whatnot between the referee and the TMO isn't working. So he's on the phone with the TMO. And he's now looking at the screen. I think that's going to be good for Riley Norton. I don't think they have to look at it too much. That's a try. Also, that's his wife on the phone. Says, I think he's got that try, Riley Norton. I don't think they've been able to stop him. Just seems to be the size discrepancy between these two young teams. He's got off the phone. Just finding out what he wanted for dinner. That is going to be the try. Hamish, Rugby 2001, we put Italy on minus 110% and the Springboks plus 110%. Got like to over 250 points. The wing would circle the whole field, just brought back that memory. Says cool story. And Hamish, you should cry after a game in your post-game pods. Get a Sky Sport rugger show like Wildcard. Says Lama. Although he does thoroughly deserve it. He's worked hard on YouTube for a long time, old Wildcard. But, yeah, I don't think the breakdown would invite me on. My wife gave in chest pains as usual. Says Wemma. Now Moyo from the touchline. 59 points to 5, ladies and gents. Just to be honest, the other game between England and Scotland, it's hit a standstill. No one's scoring throughout the second half, whereas in this contest, we've already seen 27 points from the second half. In fact, 26. That one's missed away to the side for Moyo. I think 53 minutes in, 9 Junior Boks tries, 27 more minutes remaining. Looks like a change about to take place for the South Africans. Number 22 making his way on, which is Ian van der Merwe. And what a thrashing disappointment for the Aussies. And the thing is, with this loss, you just don't come back from this. Like, you can try, but if you don't score if you don't score 4 tries in this game, like, points differential's never going to be your friend. So from here on out, if you're Australia, you have to beat everyone else and hope that South Africa lose to everyone else to even have half a chance of making their way through. And make it 15 tries for the Boks. Another knock on this time from Australia first. So South Africa now will have themselves a scrum. There's a thrashing. Sorry, Aussies. Says Heather. And oh my gosh, it's raining tries, says Naidu. And also Wildcard is a good watch. I always assume he's laughing at himself. Says Fleshin. And Scotland is not very good at this level. Can't get their exports in time for the under-20s. Says Verhoeven. And are we looking at 70 plus here? I think so. Like, I would be utterly shocked if South Africa honestly don't bring up 80 in this one, which sounds harsh, but they've got 59 at the moment. It has just been all-out attack. And they've just been really smart with how they've played this game. Like, I know Australia have made it their fair share of errors. Oh, rough pass there from South Africa. Goes in touch just as I end up jinxing them a little bit. But, you know, you look at what they've been able to do in terms of that counter-attack once Australia make the mistake. Because it's all well and good Aussie, you know, dropping the ball or anything like that. But it's what South Africa have to do from there that has thoroughly impressed me, you know. Finding that break, and their draw and pass has been really, really strong. It seems like they got all the time in the world to be able to line it up. Nice run there from the Australians, who are now on attack, trying to find a way of scoring before the end of this match. Short ball there. Do you see Finn Baxter's gone off the field for the Australians? South Africa 75, Australia 5, says Eddie. I think they'll show up, or won't show too much after this comfy scoreline, says Lama. Is there a Dupre or a stain as well? There is not, but that is another penalty going the way of South Africa. Kirby enthusiasm, Hamish under 80, Aussie has pride, says cool story. And Hamish, I know JK is a national monument in New Zealand, but he's insufferable. It's really only Mills on that panel that I enjoy listening to. You'll do a great job there, says Christopher. I do like listening to Mills as well. He seems to, Sydney Harvey at the back, drops that ball. Can it get any worse for this under 20 Aussie side? But just, dropping it cold. At the moment, Sydney Harvey, he might give up rugby after this game. He looks absolutely beaten physically and mentally from this game. The returning URC under-20s make a huge difference, says Nthuko. And also under-20 URC Lol, says Lama. And there too, but it is a scrum feed. Still 24 minutes left. Is it just me, or has the second half felt like an eternity? I don't think it has been that long. Like, I don't think there's been many stoppages or anything like that. And in terms of the other game, like, we've probably slowed down a bit compared to the other one, but it's just been brutal. And another penalty to South Africa. This is just dominance across the board, and Hamish is cute, says Naidu. I love the size of these under-20s, huge, says Verhoeven. They are full-size blokes. and they are having the full impact. Stephen Beaver Donald has the worst takes. I think the one that definitely fired people up the most this year was his URC thing, saying that it's a low level. But then I also do think that was slightly a publicity stunt to get more people watching the breakdown, and it thoroughly worked. So I think that there might have been a bit of planning behind that one. Would the Aussies under-20 league team have a better go at this? They added 2 extra players. Maybe. The amount of defenders beaten has been so concerning for the Australians defensively. They just haven't been able to stop anything, really. Oh, breaking away. Another try. It was a rolling maul. No one saw Nayali go through. And that is try number 10 for the South Africans here. There's still 23 minutes. Just wave the white flag at this point. If you're Australia, the weather is just too hot. And the way that the Boks are playing is just way too hot to handle for the Australians too. I think the difference for the Junior Boks from the Rugby Championship is now is the fact that they have worked with a group of 84 players. It'll take time to get combinations going, says WLK. And number 10, Moyle, is the same size as the back rowers, says all in the game. Yeah, which is about 1.5 times the size of the Aussie fullback. Then in the rain, says Othiko. I mean, if the rain is the big factor, they will be for sure hoping it stays clear throughout this tournament. That kick is good from Funda Merva. Now making the score 66-5. It's been in the 50s for the time, what feels like forever. And once again, I don't know if it's just me, the other game between England and Scotland, they're not quite at the point that we are here as a century in sight. I hope for Australia's sake that it's not. Don't get me wrong, South Africa probably would deserve it with the way that they've played, but I just think that, Australia need one more try just to feel slightly better about their day. It's another penalty to South Africa. It's a neck roll in the breakdown. It's not good. Using the excuse league does not make much sense for me. Rugby Australia need to do a better job getting them in early. Every team can only play with what's in front of them. Says Verhoeven, and one English player has been sent off. That might be why the score's still similar in that game then, because it's actually identical to what it was at half-time. Could be a ton, says Lama. I don't even know what the possession stat would be for the second half, but it is not good if you are an Australian supporter. Now line out throw. That's nicely claimed by the South Africans. Now flat run from Bester. As we just about tick out of that 50 to 60 minute margin or window that has been brutal on the Australian gas tank. Now Pete goes back across to Funda Merva, ball on the inside, finds Erasmus. Still 25 metres out from the line, skip pass, finds Schoolman. Was a knock on though. Going to be a scrum feed now for the Australians. And Argentina says Ratiti. Of course, they are going to be playing a little bit later on. Big match up against Spain. That'll be an intriguing contest. Now another change for the Australians. Aiden Akaniaki will make his way on. He's a handy enough player in the sevens, to be fair, but I don't think he's going to be able to make the difference and bring back 62 points here for the Australians. But he might help just a little bit. He's at least one of the bigger players on the field for Australia, but I think the first thing that these boys are going to be doing when they get back to Aussie is eating a massive amount of food because, compared to the South African 4-pack, they just have no real size about them. Although that scrum, they have won it. Maybe the Boks should offer to let 2 players sit out the game or sit out for the rest of the game. It will be a more even contest. Says Christopher, 20 minutes ago, can they score 100? I don't think so. I think the 100's off the cards, but I do think the 80 points is on it. Sydney Harvey, does get it into touch. Well done. One definitely had to go out. We got the water break, which is a much needed rest for this Australian side. South Africa, they'll be pretty happy with how it's progressing, and not too many men looking hugely tired at the moment. I think they're going for 100 points. Says here they're there. I guess the question now, ladies and gents, of course there is still time remaining in this match, but do you see this being the highest scoring game of the whole competition? Perhaps under 20 South Africans saw the big boys play Barbarians. Someone must have told them that they can't beat that. Under 20 South Africa saying hold my beer, says Stefan. And also we have got the England Scott score, please. So this is a spoiler for anyone who doesn't want to know. Of course, be sure to block your ears or mute me. I'm going to say it in 3, 2, 1. It is 42 points to 12 in favour of the English, which was actually the score at half time. So they haven't actually come back and got any extra points during that second period. If you're wondering why I blocked my mouth as well, it's just so that no one who mutes it does get wind of what I actually said either, just in case. France versus Spain will be the largest score, says Verhoeven there. And also, Christopher, they should, practicing defending with less players. And Green might just win here. And Boks, let's get to the 100 ratio score and time in 85 points, says Willem. Yeah, don't get me wrong. I think the 80 is definitely on the cards. Australia, they'll enjoy having a little bit of the ball here when they have got the next line out. But I don't know what the penalty count is. But it's brutal. Shane Man, this is an Aussie rules score. If this was an Aussie rules score, though, one of these two sides would get absolutely butchered. Because if you only got 5 in a game of AFL, you definitely do not deserve to win it. A point a minute, nice, says Stefan. And England not showing much after doing their job early. And I guess in their mindset, perhaps they're going, we've got the bonus point. All we need to do is win. Because as long as they beat South Africa in their next game, then I guess they're all good. If that makes sense. Same mindset for South Africa, except it seems like the South Africans have gone, we want to go above and beyond and make sure that differential is good just in case, let's say, they don't beat England, but they could still be that next best ranked side if they've received all the bonus points all the way. England players have their names on their shirts. Should be the same for all teams, says Orland. At least you kept eye contact, that's all that matters, says Christopher. But now, Australia in possession of the ball. Can they get something going here? Going off to the left-hand side. Skip past Sydney Harvey. 2-man deck on him. South Africa getting in the breakdown. Trying to work a steal. And Boks beat them all, says Toboli. Now back across to the right. Oh, another knock on from the Australians. Counter-attacking chance here for South Africa. That's where they've been so dangerous throughout this match. Great hands. Now chance down the wing. He's put it into touch though. Not quite getting that one off the middle of the boot in Lozzie. Will now be another Australian line out. Boks and beat them all. Oh. Okay, so Hashim Peb went off at the water break and Eric Visser made his way on. Now thrown in again, well taken by this junior Australian side. Little kicking behind, awkward bouncing ball once again though. Ball manages to avoid the hands of the Australians. I don't think I've ever seen a ball avoid players as much as it has in this game when they've done like a chip in behind. It has been a brutal bouncing day, but that ball just going skew whiffed. Then knocked on by Cooper Waters. $5 South Africa will win this game. Who wants to bet? Says MB. Australia lucky to get 5. To be fair, the Sydney Harvey try was a good one. So they probably did deserve their try, but they have really been far from the best. What has happened to Australia? It seems they have a systematic problem in their rugby from grassroots level, says Jean. And they're laughing there from Stefan's 5 Zimbabwean dollars. And the chip needs to be sorted by South Africa. Any team with the ball or balls here of luck would get that, says Verhoeven. Yeah, that's about the second or third time, isn't it, that the Australians have found a way. Oh, another advantage going the way of South Africa. Back across to the left-hand side now. Little chipper behind attempted from Funda Merva, but we'll go back. The penalty again. The reason South Africa doesn't have the name on the jersey is an example. The 10 jersey should be earned. Having a name on it would make it wrong, says Irvin. Oh, it looks like someone's just getting their tracker put back in. or the South Africans, and Ian van der Merwe, he will kick this one towards the sideline. I remember last year this time. We all saying South Africa versus New Zealand final. Next minute, it was France and England in the final. All that talk. Says Lama. And also, it's more South Africa greatness than Australia problem. Australia plays league, not union. Says MB. That's thrown over the top. Oh, not straight though. Clearly not straight. Call from the ref. So, scrum feed or line out for Australia. A little bit of frustration there for Schoeman. Still the 15 minutes left on the clock. Anyone who is new to the channel, of course, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. And also, be sure to keep an eye out. And I'm hoping it will be in less than 2 hours' time. But that might be a little bit optimistic. Probably closer to 3 hours' time is when we're going to be uploading our Springboks prediction for their lineup up against the Italians. So be sure to give that a look. I was actually hoping to have it edited before the live stream today, but if I'm honest, I haven't even started it. But now going down the wing, chance here for the Australians. This is a good chance. Waters tries to kick, and it's going to be controlled by South Africa. And I think it was Nlozi who controlled it. Australia now with a counter-attacking chance. Rush defence, Sydney Harvey with a good spin. Passes on the outside now. Chance here. That is actually Shane Wilcox. We haven't even seen that man today. Now off to the right. The middle of the field. Counter ruck coming from the South Africans, just enforcing that physicality. Joe Dillon getting driven backwards further and further here for Australia. Skip pass, nice hands from Aiden Akaniaki, who's calling for the offload, didn't receive it. Back across. This is much better from Australia, although getting on the ball and ripping it away was Ollie Reid. And South Africa get it back. Australia losing their footing. G'day Hamish, you working hard? Or you hard-working sod? Says Darren, welcome in. And also the Junior Boks is just getting Aussies back, losing at home earlier this year. Says Raymond, will tell you what, they have certainly gone with a brutal revenge match. If that is the case, 61 points, another chipping behind. Open space, knocked on by South Africa, picked up by Sydney Harvey with the offload on the outside. Great last-ditch tackle made by by South Africa, close to the sideline. Ball still in the field of play, being told to use it back across to the right. That was James Martins playing half. They get another one here, the Aussies. It's been a long time since they scored their first. Oh, big leg chop coming from Erasmus. Now pick and go. Aiden Akaniaki this time. The man who drops the ball. He had someone on the outside but was looking up rather than looking at the possession. In fact, no, they think it was Wilcox. No, now they've gone to Akaniaki. At least I'm not missing anything by going to bed instead of watching. Says Kano. Yeah, this one's pretty one-sided. And there might be a couple more slightly one-sided affairs throughout today. I still can't believe that the score in the Scotland versus England game is still identical to what it was at halftime. But Kane will make his way off the field. That is for Ramal. Just another drop ball. It's really adding up at the moment for this Aussie side. England have a player off. They may have a player off, but they did score 42 points in the first half. So even with one man down, you'd think they'd find a way through. But like someone said, maybe they're just breezing in that game. They aren't really exuding too much energy. England doing tackling practice, says Lama. Yeah, perhaps just working on their structure, getting their pods right. 13 minutes remaining in this game. Score has come to a grinding halt at the moment. We'll just look back. Last time that we saw a try scored in this game was around Right, we're back, ladies and gents. The Wi-Fi cut out a little bit there, but I think we are now returning, hopefully. And you guys will be able to see me with a little bit of luck. Big South African boys are tired now. Says Verhoeven there. As they should be. Like, they have played this game at a very high tempo throughout this 80 minutes. And, you know, I think that they've thoroughly deserved a rest after this one. And 80 points still on. I think there's a chance in this one. We got the waving there from Robert, and Scotland can't score versus 14 minutes is all in. And also Aussies looking so close to being okay, but they just keep on messing up at the point that matters. And Aussie wouldn't know the try line even if it was 20 metres thick. Says Lama, although Australia now in position, 22 metres out. So what we were learning is it's been around, I think it was about 7 minutes since the last try for South Africa, but it's felt like a wee while. Good attack and run, looking for the offload on the inside. Once again, we have to ask that question. Can Australia get themselves the try now? Finding it on the outside, big fend, offload, Aiden Kanayake, they'll run it in out wide, and it is the try for the youngster, Cooper Waters. Yes, you could say it is a bit of a consolation one, but 66 minutes they have just said between Australian tries, but at least they'll reach double figures. And then one try, Aussie get the drinks in. Says Othiko. Cooper Waters, I think they said the youngest player in this Australian side. And just the backline. This time working for Australia. Aiden Kaniaki does get the assist. And then God says Lama. Yeah, like, don't get me wrong, it's still 56 points difference, but I just feel like double figures looks better, doesn't it, than having just the 5. Perhaps it's the start of a couple more. The thing is, Australia have 10 minutes to score twice now, because if they can do so, they get a bonus point in this game, which felt like something that wasn't even going to be talked about 3 minutes ago. Sid Harvey misses that kick, sitting now 10 points to 66. Few Australian supporters in the stands. I feel like they definitely would have been expecting a bit better from their team today. Constellation, more like South Africa coach, got a bet on the scoreline, says Lama, and come on Australia, quick 10 tries and you are there, says ARC. But like I said, they need 2 at bare minimum in this game, because 2 more tries for Australia would mean still half a chance of making it in this competition if they were to get 2 other wins up against England as well as Scotland. Now, don't get me wrong, that's going to be very tough to do with the way that they've started in this competition, but it's going to be now an advantage going the way of the Australians. Ball this time sits up for the Aussies, breaking through, tries to chip him behind. It's going to be shut down though by South Africa, who do not grab that ball, and now Australia passing it out wide. Wilcox driven towards the sideline. Counter ruck there. Penalty goes the way of Australia in the middle of the field. Is that back-to-back penalties for this Aussie side? I don't think we've seen that since maybe the 5th minute as New Zealand play. Yet they have not. They play in 3.5 hours up against the Italians. This is a deplorable scoreline. I got P2 in Austria, says Kitzenel. And now 9 minutes left. Australia, again, have got themselves an attacking chance inside of South Africa's 22. Perhaps they are starting to tire the big men. Probably because of all the tries that they've been able to score. Not the straightest line-out, but not contested by South Africa. Ball flicked on the inside. Wilcox trying to find his way through. He looked like his leg wasn't working. South Africa trying to get the steal and the breakdown, unsuccessful in that venture. 3 metres out from the try line for the big man again. The Aussies can somehow force South Africa to get a yellow card here. That could be pretty massive. Now pick and go round the side. There is a new advantage this time up against the South Africans. And referee, looks like Aussie are considering going quickly here. I mean, hands on hips from the South Africans. Not a good look on the try line. So perhaps if Australia do have some sort of gas tank left, I'll note they are going to kick this one to the touchline instead. Goes out will be about 6 metres from the line. Liam Lawson finished 6th. Orange were probably spiked, to be fair. And also, we're good there. What excuse are the Aussies going to give? The Oranges were spiked, says Naidu. Oh, that's going to be thrown in. Australia claiming it again. This time, South Africa did throw a man up so that it had to be straight. Going to my first Springboks game on the 5th of July. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Up against the Italians. Could be a very high-scoring one. Now, Australia back across to the right. Flat ball through they go. Another try. Second of the match for Cooper Waters. Have they got a bonus point in them here, Australia? Just the 8 tries needed in 8 minutes to draw for the Aussies. Bonus point is on. It certainly is. Tell you what, this would, I know at this point in time, it doesn't seem sufficient and it doesn't seem relevant after the way that South Africa have played. But just imagine this, right? South Africa dominate this game. Rugby is a very unpredictable game. If they were somehow to lose to England and Australia were able to beat both other opposition and they get bonus points in those games too, these are the type of moments that South Africa would be absolutely kicking themselves. England, they will feel the same way. They don't want to see Australia get a bonus point here. The same Australia that beat them in the Rugby Championship, pretty much, or a few changes for both teams. Definitely a change in temperature, that is for sure. But it seems to only have been in the last 5 or so minutes where we've seen Australia like they were in the Rugby Championship. 66 points to 17, still very one-sided, but it doesn't look as bad as 66-5 did. South Africa scoring many tries in the first 15 minutes of the second half, then slowed down. And all those subs affecting South Africa's momentum, says all in the game. And also, Australia just forgot their skills today, says Lama. Looks like another change being made. This is actually going to be one of the props for South Africa. I think it's Jean Erasmus. Does mean that Herman doesn't make his way back on. Now 6 minutes remaining. And if you're Australia, it doesn't matter if you can see 3 tries throughout this last 6 minutes. You just have to go the length of the field. And that was a high tackle from South Africa. About 5 penalties in a row that they've conceded now. South Africa using the big boys really helps to the last 20. And it's showing Aussies showing good fight, good on them. Says Verhoeven. South Africa need to score again to well the Rebels' attack. Or to quell the Rebels, sorry, says Lama. And this is a brutal scoreline considering it's now 1-12. If F1 wasn't on, I'd be asleep, says Katzenau, and not enough time to take the lead for Australia. No chance of a lead, but a chance of a bonus point. They need one more try to give them a bonus from this game. That's overthrown, though, at line-out time. Big run from the big number 3. Now, back across to the right-hand side here for South Africa. And like I said, Australia, the less time that they can spend down here, the better. So a quick-fire try for South Africa isn't the end of the world. And tell you what, they might just get one here. 10 metres out from the try line. Back across to the left-hand side. As if you're Australia, you need to be down the other side of the field. That's knocked on, though. And now the scrum feed for the Australians. One of the first mistakes we've actually seen in the game from Nyale. And also, South Africa need to score again. And also, well, can't believe the scoreline, says Cameron. Yeah, a very high-scoring game between these two teams. What do we had? About 83 points in the 75 minutes of rugby. What are your thoughts on the boys in green and gold yesterday? Says Irvin, I thought they looked like a side that definitely meant business up against the Barbarians. The Barbars looked all sorts of out of sorts. And, if we're looking at it as a test match, South Africa did exactly what they said they were going to do. They played structured, they played strategic, and they played very well for that match. Both Australia and Argentina are miles behind. I don't get it. I don't get it. What's wrong? Says Katzenau. Both Australia and Argentina are miles behind. Are we talking in the under-20s? Because Argentina haven't played in their match as of yet. What is the better out of South Africa, New Zealand, and England under-20 teams? Is all in the game. Depends on who you talk to. If you're looking at what happened last competition involving the sides, England made it the furthest out of anyone. New Zealand won the under-20s Rugby Championship this year as well as last year. And then South Africa are one of those teams that can certainly cause an upset. Or, most of the time they come in as favourites because they are a very good under-20 side. We have good there. What kind of fellas these South Africans are allowing them a couple freebies? Well, they have to allow them one more, though. Because if they don't, then Australia will be unable to get that bonus point that they so desire. back into the pocket. Oh, sold the dummy and decided to run this one. Ball on the inside. Breaking away now for Australia. A lot of open space. This is when you have to dig deeper than you have throughout the rest of the game. Great tackle made. And that one's kicked downfield. Australia football skills not working out for them. And getting dragged down 10 metres out for the line for South Africa. Over the ball though for Australia. They win the penalty. 10 metres out from South Africa's line. 4 minutes remaining. A chance at a bonus point. Scotland being bullied hard. Says Verhoeven. The first Springboks game will be the one versus Italy, and also South Africa are in the tough group with England and Scotland. Absolutely. And I do think that with the two score margins that we've seen in this game, as well as England versus Scotland, although shout out to the Scottish, they did just score, but those are the two games that are heavily going to, the one game that's going to heavily impact it all. That's going to be the penalty going against Australia for obstruction in the line out. Our bonus point is asserted now. It is not, because the first penalty that Australia have given away in quite some time has gone now against them just 5 metres out from the line. Does having no rugby league culture help South Africa with rugby union depth? I guess maybe a little bit, having the one sport that is being concentrated on. That's a great kick downfield from the South Africans. That's what it comes down to, fighting for a bonus point. It does. And honestly, with the way that this competition is laid out, you need that bonus point. If you're Australia, don't get me wrong, 66 points conceded. Awful for this matchup in terms of how to start a competition. But the bonus point is literally all you can fight for now. You can't win the game. A lot of pressure there coming in on the South Africans. And they will look to try and break the line now. Attack and run from Bester, who has looked sharp throughout this match and still going at a decent pace too, which is fantastic to see. A few of those guys testing their gas tanks. Being told to use it there. Back across, 2 minutes left here. Visser linking up with his teammate now, rolling it back again, and this time it looks like they will go for the aerial option. Ball is out. Is this the worst showing thus far? This is the first game of the competition. So, you'd say yes, because there's nothing else to base it off. And England versus Scotland have similar score to this game. Relatively similar, yeah. England at the moment leading 56-19. So very similar. And that department, South Africa trying to get the penalty, unable to do so. Now pick and go. That's a silly kick. And it's going to be knocked back onto the side of Australia. I think there was a knock on there from South Africa, but it looks like it's going to be play on, missed by the referee, and they will look to shift this one out to the left-hand side. Great hands there from the Junior Boks. There's the knock on. And they'll go back now. Go back now for the scrum. Little bit of afters between the two players. And away it points to a weakness in the system with bonus points. Says ARC and England versus Scotland have similar score. And Scotland men look worse, playing against England 14 men, and including the games that were played in South Africa. Okay, so including games that took place in a different tournament. I would say no. I think that Argentina in their game up against New Zealand in their under-20 Rugby Championship looked worse than Australia have here. But, yeah, Aussie have not looked flash throughout this match. Now 25 seconds remaining here. Ready to put this ball in. Big push from South Africa. Ball almost didn't come out of that scrum, but 10 seconds left for the bonus point chance. Oh, that's a knock on from South Africa. 5 seconds remaining on the clock, so one last scrum in this game. I think it was just in the process of making the tackle there. Erasmus knocking it on. And nothing more cynical. Referee just trying to speed them along, saying this is the last play. South Africa have won this game comfortably. But what they would love more than anything is to stop Australia from sneaking that one extra point that could heavily impact how this competition finishes for Australia. This current point in time, they would receive 0 points from this game. Let's wait and see if it will happen. We over there didn't have to rub it in that Argentina was the worst. To be fair, you did ask and you made me have to explain or if to include that competition as well. Like, if we were just talking about this comp, it was this game. But you said, no, you have to include that game and that competition. So it was on you. Oh, those subs really kill South Africa's momentum. Says all in the game currently. Ball on the side of the Australians. Looking to the short side. Interception. And it will be the last try. Yako Williams gets one more. It has been about 20 minutes where we have not seen a South African try, but they will get one now. No bonus point for Australia, and a 71 points to 17 victory, maybe even 73 if the kick is good. And thanks for your time, Kiwi lads. No worries at all. And yeah, hopefully we'll be able to cover a little bit more of the Under-20s Rugby Championship in the near future too, while Australia making a comeback, says Albert. Yeah, no bonus point for the Aussies. This one should be a nice, easy kick for Ian van der Merwe. And good one-handed take, says all in the game. Yeah, it's the type of one that gets you in trouble if you drop it, but when you take it, can lead to a very nice try, but the kick is over. And now 73 points to 17, a 90-point game between these two sides. In terms of that Scotland versus England game, that too has come to a close. That game had 75 points scored. So we've seen 165 points across 160 minutes of rugby. Ladies and gents, welcome to the Under-20 Rugby Championship. But that does mean that South Africa sit number 1, then it is England, then it is Scotland, then Australia. That is the order for this group at the end of this round. Now we look forward to seeing what else will be happening in the later stages. But like I said, we will have hopefully a video going up within the next couple of hours involving our Springboks lineup prediction for their upcoming game up against Italy. So if you are new, of course, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. And I will see you all for the next one.